Everything changed the moment Donald Trump pointed at the camera and spat out Keir Starmer's name with venom. It wasn't just a jab. It was a calculated assault, a political grenade lobbed across the Atlantic, exploding in the heart of the UK's election cycle. The room, packed with journalists, froze as Trump's voice cut through the air like a blade. His words weren't just harsh. They were a deliberate attempt to shred Starmer's carefully crafted image and throw Labour into chaos. The clip spread like wildfire, racking up millions of views within hours, igniting debates, and leaving Britain's political landscape scorched. Starmer, the man who positioned himself as steady, principled, and ready to lead, was suddenly exposed, his silence in the aftermath only deepening the wound. This wasn't politics as usual. This was war. Trump stood at the podium in Florida, fielding questions on trade, immigration, and NATO, when a reporter threw the curveball. "What do you think of Keir Starmer, the man who could be Britain's next prime minister?" The room braced for a soundbite, but no one expected the onslaught. Trump's eyes narrowed, his lips curled into a sneer. "Keir Starmer," he growled, "is the weakest leader I've ever seen trying to run a country." The air sucked out of the room. He didn't stop there. In a relentless minute, he tore into Starmer, accusing him of being soft on crime, spineless on borders, and a puppet of Brussels. He painted Starmer as a traitor to Brexit, a sellout ready to hand Britain back to the EU. "This guy is going to bow to Biden, grovel to Europe, and give your country away piece by piece," Trump said, jabbing his finger at the camera. The journalists sat stunned. The American press broadcast it live. British networks scrambled to keep up. By the time Starmer's team in London clocked what was happening, the damage was done. The clip didn't just go viral, it detonated. Social media erupted with hashtags like #WeakStarmer and #Trump versus Labour trending globally. Right-wing commentators in the UK, from GB News to Talk TV, replayed the footage endlessly, dissecting Trump's every word. Nigel Farage, grinning like a fox, called it a truth bomb and doubled down, labeling Starmer unpatriotic and unfit to lead. Conservative MPs, usually cautious, smirked behind closed doors, while tabloids screamed headlines like, "Trump torches Starmer," and "IS Keir too weak?" Across the Atlantic, Trump's base cheered, seeing their leader reshape another country's election with a few sharp sentences. The narrative took hold. Starmer wasn't just a politician with policies to debate. He was a liability, a man too frail to stand up for Britain. Starmer's silence in the immediate aftermath was deafening. No statement, no rebuttal, no fire. Labour HQ was caught flat-footed, their phones ringing off the hook as MPs and aides scrambled to gauge the fallout. The longer Starmer stayed quiet, the louder Trump's words echoed. In politics, hesitation is blood in the water, and the sharks were circling. Reform UK pounced, with Farage gleefully amplifying Trump's attack. Donald just said what millions of Brits already know. He crowed on camera, his words trending alongside the original clip. Conservative strategists, sensing opportunity, wove the narrative into their campaign, subtly framing Rishi Sunak as the stronger, more decisive choice. Even Sunak, typically reserved on foreign spats, took a jab during a campaign stop. "I don't always agree with Trump, but strength matters on the world stage." The implication landed like a sledgehammer. Starmer wasn't up to the job. The public reaction was brutal. Polls shifted overnight. A YouGov survey showed Starmer's favorability plummeting 6 points, while Labour's lead shrank from 5 to 3. Focus groups in key battlegrounds like the Midlands and Northern England brought up the Trump clip unprompted, with voters questioning whether Starmer could handle global leaders like Putin or see if he couldn't even respond to a verbal assault from Trump. One voter on LBC summed it up. "If Keir can't stand up to a loudmouth like Trump, how's he going to deal with real threats?" The sentiment wasn't just from the right. Centrist voters, even some Labour loyalists, voiced unease. Social media amplified the crisis, with memes mocking Starmer's silence and TikToks portraying him as a deer in headlights. The label "weakest man to ever run a country" became a viral slogan, slapped on mugs and T-shirts. When Starmer finally spoke, nearly 2 days later at a Midlands campaign event, his response was limp. "I don't engage in foreign mudslinging," he said, voice measured. "My focus is on the British people." It was too little, too late. The cautious deflection only reinforced Trump's framing. Starmer is passive, unwilling to fight. Labor insiders were livid. One senior aide reportedly called it a disaster, lamenting that they needed a brawler's response but got fog. Whispers of doubt spread through Westminster. Could Starmer handle a crisis? Could he stand up to the EU in trade talks or face down global powers? The silence had spoken louder than any policy speech, and voters noticed. Trump, sensing blood, didn't let up. In a follow-up interview with a conservative U.S. radio host, he doubled down. The UK deserves better, he said. Weak leaders sink strong nations. That's how the West falls. His words weren't just for American ears. They were a direct appeal to British voters, casting him as the blunt truth-teller Starmer could never be. The clip spread further, amplified by right-wing influencers and podcasts dissecting Starmer's every misstep. Mainstream outlets like the BBC and Sky News couldn't ignore it, running segments that replayed the attack to millions. Starmer's team tried pivoting to domestic issues, housing, the NHS, cost of living relief, but the media stayed fixated on the Trump clash. The optics were devastating. Trump, brash and commanding. Starmer, restrained and faltering. Inside Labor, the mood was grim. Late-night strategy sessions saw aides poring over polling data, showing swings in marginal seats. Donors grew jittery. Surrogates sounded defensive on air, and MPs began quietly distancing themselves. Some pushed for a bolder response, urging Starmer to denounce Trump's interference as an attack on British sovereignty. Others warned against engaging, fearing it would play into Trump's chaos-driven playbook. The indecision paralyzed the campaign. Every hour without a strong countermessage let Trump's narrative fester, embedding itself in the public's mind. Voters who'd seen Starmer as a safe pair of hands now wondered if he was too soft, too diplomatic for a world demanding grit. The crisis wasn't just domestic. It rippled internationally. Diplomatic circles buzzed with unease, with allies questioning Britain's image of strength post-Brexit. The Trump incident had become a wrecking ball, exposing cracks in Labor's armor. Starmer's carefully built persona, calm, competent, unshakable, was crumbling. Conservative ads began subtly weaving in the weakness narrative, contrasting Sunak's steady hand with Starmer's hesitancy. Reform UK went harder, with Farage declaring Starmer a danger to Britain's independence. The combined assault from Trump, Farage, and Sunak's team shifted the election's momentum. Labour was no longer the inevitable victor. It was a party on the ropes. By the second week, the Trump attack had become a defining moment. It wasn't just a soundbite. It was a symbol of Starmer's perceived fragility. Polls showed undecided voters slipping away, particularly in Brexit strongholds where Trump's rhetoric about sovereignty hit hard. Labor's war room ditched policy rollouts to focus on damage control, but the narrative was out of their hands. Trump had done what no British rival could. He'd shattered Starmer's aura of invincibility with a single, searing minute. The election was now a referendum on strength, and Labor was losing ground fast. As the clock ticked down, the question wasn't just whether Starmer could recover. It was whether he could convince Britain he was tough enough to lead it all.